sponsored by the Nevis Reformation Party, Nevis's oldest political party, and one which has transformed Nevis for the better more than anyone else. I've come here this evening on Monday, August 29th with mixed emotions, because I'm one who always tried to take a front row seat to history. It is a momentous night in the history of sport. Serena Williams, the greatest tennis player of all times, is on court at the Arthur Ashe Stadium, now in its 25th year, playing her opening game of what should be her final tournament. She says that she is evolving away from the sport. When I last checked, she was 5-3, leading Danka Konevic of Montenegro in that game, which has a sellout crowd at the world's greatest stadium. Well, the one which can hold the most people. So I'm very happy to have with me tonight Rohan Isles, a master of sports himself, a master commentator. It is a momentous evening in world sport, and there is so much that we can learn from Serena Williams. In fact, from where I sit, I think the story of the Williams sisters is one of the greatest stories in the history of sport. Welcome, Mr. Rohan Isles.
Good night, Steve. Good night to our listeners. Good night to our regular listeners and those who are joining us for the first time. It is good to be back on Your Voice. I think it has been a while since I was here. I think the last time was just before the elections of August 5th. And so it's good to be back on Your Voice. Yes, it's good to talk a little sports, of course. I mean, you would know we both have that affinity for sports. And so... yeah, definitely wishing Serena all the best. Not just tonight, but hopefully she can progress and get that 24th and bow out as a champion. Of course, she and her sister accepted the wildcard invitation to play doubles, and so I look forward to seeing them play some doubles as well.
And Serena has meant so much. As I said, a great story in sports, coming from Compton, California, very depressed, crime-ridden area, and of course coached by her father, as featured in King Richard, the biopic of the lives of the Williams sisters. He himself hadn't played tennis, and then he came up with the grand idea that he wanted to have two daughters who would become world champions. This after watching prize money being dished out at a tournament, I think, in France. And he came with a master plan, I think a 79-page plan on how to develop champions. And then in 1991, he handed them off to a gentleman called Rick Marcy, a white guy who really brought them to #1 in the world. And so she's been atop the world rankings for the last quarter of a century. Of course, started in 1997, winning her first title at the US Open, which she has won on 6 occasions, in 1999. And as we say, the rest is history. But what is so instructive about Serena, which makes her among the greatest sports people of all time, she just didn't play the sport. She just didn't use the racket. She used the voice. Because when they entered the sport, they said that they felt they weren't welcome. Remember Indian Wells, in which she felt ostracized, she and her sister and her father. And she did her platform, or she used her platform, not only to advance the play or the pay of black athletes and of female athletes, but also, of course, she was a civil rights leader of sorts, fighting for the advancement of black people anywhere. So Serena just didn't use her racket, and I hope she wields it very well for the rest of the evening. I hope somebody can keep us abreast of how that is going. And she also used her voice as a platform for the advancement of black or colored people.
Yeah, I mean, she did, not just her, but her sister as well. They both fought to champion the cause of women in the sport, not just women, but women of color. Of course, you you would have heard the stories of how they battled to get equal prize money and so on in the sport. And so they would have demonstrated that they are champions, they are fighters, not just on the court, but off the court, and showing that those who would come after them would have that level of equal playing field. And so it's good to see the outcomes of their battles and their challenges. Of course, those of us who have seen the movie would recognize that Venus was the one who started, and the father was, a lot keen on her, and Serena showed early the kind of fight that she had in her, sneaking away to enter the tournament and then coming to the fore. But we have had an amazing journey with the Williams sisters. I am sure people across the Caribbean and across the world, once the Williams sisters were playing, glued to their television. So those of us who didn't grow up liking tennis, we grew to love tennis because of the Williams sisters, and we would have enjoyed the many Capriati and so on in terms of their battles. It's going to be difficult for a lot of people to accept that she's stepping away, that they're going to stepping away. But you look down to young Stevens and Graf and Osaka and hope that they too can continue the battle and carry the flame that the Williams sisters, of course, you're talking tennis players of color would have started. And so we're hoping for the best tonight.
And of course, Naomi Osaka, whose mother is Japanese but father Haitian, said that she picked up a racket because of the Williams sisters. Coco Gauff, who won her opening game this afternoon, has said the same. So they have impacted a race. And of course, if she evolves, or when she evolves away from tennis, then the game will be in very good hands. Serena and her sister have put tennis on another plane. Now, we're not just looking at sport on the international scene, but we are looking at it locally as well. By any stretch of the imagination, it has been an impressive week for sport in St. Kitts and Nevis. In St. Kitts, of course, yesterday the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots won the first 60. That to go, of course, with last year's championship with the CPL. And of course, our own Jaden Carmichael is a member of the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots. They need a lot of commendation as well.
Yeah, congratulations to them. I was able to see one or two games there. I was particularly impressed and happy to see young Jaden Carmichael. He would have come through the junior ranks of cricket here in Nevis, and I think he ended the tournament with 4 wickets, something around there. He picked up one man of the match. He got 2 wickets, 6 runs, economy of 3. And so it's good that Division players in the makeup of the Patriots team hope to see him in the CPL, which kicks off next week. And so very happy that he's here. He accounted for himself well. I am happy that they gave him the opportunity to bowl and to be a part of the setup and test his mettle against international superstars. And so the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots have been going well, defending CPL champions, and now they're champions of the 60. Hopefully in the future we can see St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots women's team. Of course we have quite a bit of talent here in St. Kitts and Nevis and across the Leeward Islands as well, and so hopefully we'll get to see that. But enjoying the reign of the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, and hopefully in the future we'll see more of our young players, whether playing for the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots or any other franchise within the CPL makeup. It is a breeding ground for young talent in the white ball format, and so good to see Carmichael doing well, and wish him all the best in the CPL as we look forward to the start on Wednesday. I think our first match is against the Talos or something like that.
I can't recall who it is, but I know we're playing in the opening game.
Yeah.
But the evolution of Warner Park speaks to great foresight, good planning. On behalf of the then Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Denzel Douglas, of course Charles Wilkin was a spearhead in that, and of course Richard Ricky Skerritt, who is now President of the West Indies Cricket Board. When they decided to construct Warner Park or to elevate Warner Park to the status where it is today, in 2005, there's some people thumb their noses at it, but it has been a revolution on St. Kitts. St. Kitts has displaced Nevis as the home of cricket in the Federation. And if you notice, apart from the Mecca in Barbados, Warner Park is the most sought after cricket facility in the region. Almost every touring team which comes to the Caribbean plays at Warner Park. And that is a credit to the people who planned that, the people who had the foresight to make Warner Park into the outstanding venue it is today.
I mean, that is so true. I mean, we would have seen from the get-go in 2007 Cricket World Cup and subsequent to that all those tours, high-ranking teams, the Australias, the Indians, come into Warner Park, because Warner Park, of course, as you know, is a desired facility in terms of the white ball cricket. It is an opportunity for exciting games, and that is what fans are looking for now. That is what TV rights are looking for. That is where money is made. And so Warner Park is paying the bills. You know, they say the dance came for the lights, but this is doing more than that. It is granting opportunity to young Kittitians. And you would have seen some of them come through the system because of that. Notable young Jeremiah Lewis playing with the CPL as well. Richard Berridge, who would have done excellent on the list A or the first class tour we saw with the Leewards barely missing out on that championship. And so it is good to see that that is happening, but we are still pushing here in Nevis for that kind of facility, to give our young players that kind of feel that, you know, this is a grand stage. Whether we are practicing or we are playing, this is home for us. This is where we can stand in the middle and look around at the stand and imagine and picture ourselves playing there, with stadiums filled with division supporters and regional supporters and so on. And divisions well known for their cricketing prowess. And you look at how many test players we have produced over the years. I think we still have the highest per capita in the world. We haven't produced any at the senior level in recent times. Of course, we continue to hold out. You know, Kyron performed excellently, and we really thought that he would have been granted the opportunity to play in the senior makeup, and that hasn't happened either. But Grove Park, now the E.T. Willett Park, the name must fit the facility, not just in its structure, but in its programs. And we are seeing through the hard work and dedication of former players now turned coaches, and a cricket association that is now making its way back. Our players, so the under 15 and the under 17 and the under 19, and those programs are there because of the contribution of those players. But we want to have setups that have structure, that it doesn't matter who is the coach at the time, but the structure is there, so somebody can seamlessly come in and fit into the structure, and that the young players are still getting the kind of coaching and the technical support that they need. We need to get programs in place that allows for some continuity, to get our coaches certified at the highest level, or certified at different levels, and so we can pass on our cricketers from stage to stage, building on what they would have learned, ensuring that they're in the best position possible to not just thrive in Nevis, but to do well at the Leeward Islands level, and to go on to West Indies, and to excel at the international level. And that is something the NRP continues to advocate for, and that is something we continue to push for, not just facilities, but programs that are geared to future success of our young players. And I believe firmly, man, is that if we had programs that had those kind of structures, and that we were giving our coaches the best available opportunities to advance themselves, we would have more young players advancing through the ranks. It is clear that grassroots cricket is critical, and it's important, and I must commend Pastor Ron Daniel in as small as it may seem. He has a little activity he does there at the hard court in Brownhill. It is, and he himself played cricket at junior levels, and so he's passing on the knowledge he has, and it is at those levels where youngsters can really, begin to understand the game, and the more of those we can get, the better it is going to be for us. And that is why I continue to push for the development and the renaming of the Hard Times playing field to the Runaka Mountain Sporting Complex, where we can attach a cricket academy for Gingerlanders and those in close proximity. Anybody who wants to advance their skills in cricket. And Gingerlanders produce quite a number of young cricketers and cricketers of repute. Nelson Bolans, your Denton Phillip, young Browns, the Powells. And so those are things that we look forward to, because we understand fundamentally that the program must match the facility. And so St. Kitts has done that, and they're seeing the benefits of that activity, and hopefully sooner rather than later we can upgrade and ensure that the facility is worthy of the name El Camino Tunito.
Well, of course, Nevis has always been cricket country in the Federation. Only Barbados, the mecca of cricket in the Caribbean, which hosted the first test match in 1929-30, has produced more cricketers based on population size than Nevis, along with the village of Port Morant in Berbice, Guyana. So we have so far produced 7 international cricketers, 6 at the test level. And of course, that calls out for better facilities on the island. Now, the congratulations do not end there. Carlin Bowen Tuckett, of course, the son of Carly Tuckett, captain of the Leeward Islands West Indies Rising Stars under-19 team, were crowned champions on Saturday, defeating Barbados. And of course, Tuckett came in with a top score of 68.
Yeah, a very interesting and exciting final day. At one point, Barbados was running home, picking up wickets at regular intervals, and came to the crease young and Arjamri. And I think he was able to face out the last over before time was called. But he too, Najee, has had quite a journey in his young cricketing career, and I'm extremely proud of him, and I want to say congratulations to his parents. And he's one that I can tell you West Indies look at very carefully, and I'm sure in short he and young Tuckett will be making their way to senior teams and franchises around the region. And so congratulations to them, top score, and of course Najee came home with the most wickets.
18 wickets, and of course all 6'4" of him, very tall, which is going to be a great asset as he moves forward. And I'm going to say here, I'm going to make the prediction right here on Von Radio. In 2023, the 50th anniversary of Willett's ascension to test level, the first Leeward Islander to do so, March 9, 1973, Onaje Amri will become Nevis's 8th international cricketer. So lots of credit go to him. And of course, Carly Tuckett yesterday umpired the female finals. He hasn't moved to the international stage, so to speak. He's still a regional umpire, but he stood alongside Jacqueline Williams, who's been all over the world, the first, I think, female umpire from the Caribbean to go on the international panel.
Yes.
So credit to father and son.
Yeah, I mean, as umpires, I mean, as an umpire myself, we look forward to Carly making that next step and being on the international elite international umpires list, and Carly has been doing extremely well, and we continue to support him and encourage him. And so it is always good when we watch cricket as divisions and we see our own, and to see Carly walk out into the middle, great sense of pride. And Carly has done quite a number of games as well. I mean, he has been on to Canada and in the US, and in those areas doing some
the global T20 in Canada.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good for that. Under 15 boys as well.
Yep, they returned to the Federation yesterday.
I think they came second to Barbados.
So we're right up there.
Yeah, and so congratulations to those. I think young Brown was either vice captain or captain of that squad. squad as well. And so,
light brown.
I mean, we are seeing the progress through the ranks, but there's so much more we can do in providing opportunities for our players. And there's so many young players now, with that zest and that desire to play and to move on. And so, good stuff for the under 15 and the under 19 boys.
Under 17 footballers, Jamal Lewis and Chris Brown of Bath United Football Club will be representing St. Kitts Nevis at the CONCACAF Under 17 qualifying tournament in the Dominican Republic. Also with that team, Duana Pemberton Jeffers as team doctor and Sion Leader as team manager. It's been an amazing week for sports in St. Kitts and Nevis in particular.
Oh yeah, Team Nevis goes to the Dominican Republic as part of the St. Kitts Nevis delegation, and again, see what we're seeing, especially in terms of the under 17 and these two youngsters going off to, is what happens when our young men are exposed to repetition. And when I say that, I mean that and credit must be given to Coach Alex Claxton, who has put in the work in terms of the grassroots level and engaging the young players at every possible level that football is being played, whether it is grassroots, under 13, under 15, under 17, under 19. He's making sure that they are playing the game, and that can only mean well for them as they continue to transition. And this is what we are talking about when you're talking about granting our young players the opportunity to move from one level to the next. And these are the kind of programs we want to have for our young players across the spectrum of sports in Nevis, whether it is basketball, football, cricket, traditional and non-traditional sports. I mean, our young people are exposed to so many disciplines now, and it is for us to ensure that we are availing each and every one of them the opportunity to play. So it's good to see that these two have made it, and we have seen what happens when they're exposed at different levels. Of course, Bath United has been doing their bit in the football league, and so their players get the opportunity to be exposed to the highest level of play. I think the young Myers as well, who would have gone on, and it really is the program and the structure that is required, because there's so many players we have seen in the past, and it is because there was no structure and no program, really just stayed at the Nevis level, and that is unfortunate. And an happy government is ready and willing to put those programs and those structures in place to ensure the viability, the sustainability, and the opportunity of our young people to excel in whatever discipline is the truth.
And our final congratulatory note to Joy Napier, the principal of the Nevis International Secondary School, NISS, who has earned herself a Chevening Scholarship. Educator, advocate for youth empowerment, political participation and educational leadership, will be pursuing a Master of Science degree in International Development at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, with a focus on youth and politics. Her stated goal is to radically transform the education landscape in St. Kitts and Nevis through progressive policy. As an educator yourself, you must be exceedingly proud. We all are of Joy Napier.
I am. Joy and I get along very well, and it is extremely heartwarming to see that she has received the Chevening Scholarship, and she's doing something that is right up her alley, something that she's very passionate about, and look forward to engaging Joy when she returns. And she's always filled with ideas and ideals and how things can be different positively for our young people. And so congratulations to Joy, and go well in your master's studies. We look forward to your return. Steve, you said the final congratulations, but if you'd permit me, young Jelani Manners and Shaliza Grassroots are going to be honorees or awardees at the NEFDC banquets that is to come next month. And so we want to say congratulations to them as well. And I want to say, congratulations to my sister, Akila Huggins Brand, who is now the principal of the Joycean Library Primary School. And so, and she shared the news. I said to her, no father could see us now. And it is really important for us. We continue to support each other in our endeavors as siblings, and so congratulations to her. Congratulations to some of the young teachers as well who would have been promoted to the Ministry of Education as education officers. I want to wish them all the best in their new journey. To those teachers who are coming in, welcome to the profession, and to those who would have said farewell and hung up the duster and the chalk or the marker, I want to say thank you for your service as well. And so all the best wishes to the teachers as they head out next week, Wednesday. For a new school term.
Well, let me add my voice to that. Congratulations to your sister Akila. Barbara Hendrickson has had an amazing run. Saw me at Best Buy supermarket on Friday gone. Told me she was finished. I said, really? She said, I've been at that school since 1982. 40 years of unbroken service at the Gingerland Primary, now Joycelyn Liebert Primary School. I mean, that is an amazing run.
Oh, yes.
Also learned today at the opening ceremony for teachers that Lynette Williams is leaving the Gingerland Secondary School. I commend her as well. Headmistress for all my 3 children, and did an amazing job. And we owe you a debt of gratitude for your hard work. I think there are some other changes, but we'll probably hear about them as we go along. But we're in a congratulatory mood. What we're going to do, we're going to take our first break, and when we come back, we're going to set aside a little time, 5-10 minutes. You can join us, congratulate our athletes, congratulate the teachers who have retired after a long stint. I use the Serena story because I believe there are lessons to be learned, and what the NRP is trying to do is to take sport to a higher level. We'll take a break, and when we come back, you can join us with your congratulations by calling 469-1616, 469-1700. You're listening to Your Voice with the NRP.
Your voice, your voice, your voice with the NRP. This and every Monday, 8:30 to 10 p.m. Join host Stephen Semanas and the NRP candidates as they amplify your voice.
With Your Voice with the NRP, and of course we are awaiting your call. With me is Mr. Rohan Isles, the candidate for Nevis 10 in the last general elections. Of course, there was a shift away from the CCM of about 6 to 7%, and so Rohan Isles is making waves. And of course, in the not too distant future, we'll be back at it as we have a local election. So give us a call, give us all congratulatory notes on all those outstanding athletes, educators who are closing one chapter of their lives. But Rohan Isles, you got your opening gambit at the federal elections. Tell us your views on how that went.
Let me, probably should have began with this, but let me take the opportunity now to say thank you to the 845 voters in Nevis 10 that participated in the August 5th election. So I want to thank you for finding it important to go to the polls and to cast your ballot. To those who voted for me, I want to thank you very much for the confidence that you reposed, and I believe it is because you took the message that I put forward to heart. You believed in what I was offering, and so I want to thank you for that. I look forward to meeting you on the campaign trail again very shortly as we continue to dialogue, as I continue to listen to your concerns and to find means and ways of providing solutions for the upward mobility of the people of Gingerland. It was an interesting journey, Steve, from being nominated to waiting at home to hear the ballots cast. I think my wife enjoyed the evening more than I did. She was excited to hear the number of votes that I would have gotten in certain boxes. I am pleased that even though there were a lot of naysayers and doubters and people tried to paint a certain narrative, that Gingerlanders were receptive of the message, and I believe a lot more people were. You just have to continue to share with them and to listen from them. And so, what can I say? I think way back, probably 2016, 2017, I did indicate that in 2022 I'll put my name on a ballot, and I think I've shared this story. You know, some people didn't believe me, but God's plans are God's plans, and that is what they were. And so I am extremely proud of myself. I'm proud of the accomplishments that I would have made up to that particular point, and I look forward to pressing on, because I am confident in my ability to deliver on what I have shared, and I'm confident because I know these are things that reflect the conversations that we would have had with the constituents of Nevis 3. And so we are back at it again, Steve, and we are hoping this time around to make a greater impact. As a matter of fact, we continue to grow in numbers. Day by day, people want to see us and hear for us, and so we are hopeful. I am as I said, I'm happy with the campaign we ran. We stuck to the issues at hand. We shared our vision and our hope for the people of Gingerland, and that is what we are going to do again. And so it was exciting, it was heartwarming, it was a moment in a lifetime for me, and I am extremely grateful to the NRP for the opportunity, and say thank you and thank you and thank you again to the constituents of Gingerland for that opportunity and for your vote. I look forward to your support. I look forward to your engagement as we hit the campaign trail again.
Now, one of the concerns, and this has been expressed by the party leader who was here since the election, and Dr. Patricia Bartlett, the low voter turnout. Some people say it's because it's a federal elections, divisions are not too keen on that. Mm-hmm. But of course, that was punctuated by the very unfortunate statement made by the representative. I still can't believe my ears, even though I've heard it dozens of times, that a representative, not only at the local level, at the federal level, would bring himself to the level to tell people, do not go out and vote. As a teacher, I know as a teacher, we took time out to teach civics, the importance of playing your role in the country's development and in nation building. That must have been very depressing for you to hear, coming from the constituency representative. In fact, the man who handed him the baton in 35 years or so in elective politics never issued such a mandate. It was shocking to hear.
It was shocking. I can go back. It has been shocking to hear quite a bit of what he has chosen to share with the public. To hear him on one occasion, try to compare hardworking or struggling single parent women and men who must work 2 jobs, in some cases 3 jobs, just to survive, comparing that to him working 2 ministerial jobs and getting twice as much as they probably get in a year. That was shocking. And then to say that people who are unemployed up to that particular election is by design. You are a representative of the people, and whether they vote for you or not, you have a responsibility to ensure that their development is positive, and to ensure that your policies and programs benefit them as well. And to say that is by design, and then to punctuate it by saying that after the election you will still be unemployed. And that it took me a while to get that to register, that he really said that and he really meant that. And at some point you say, just off the cuff and, just getting into the politics and just saying things that you're not really being conscious about. But then, to take a shot at democracy, to publicly take a shot at democracy, for the world to see, to tell people not to vote, when we have had so many battles, so many trials, so many men and women lost their lives for this particular sacred right, you tell people not to vote. And it was embarrassing to hear, because democracy requires the participation of its people. That is how democracy is grown. That is how countries get stronger. That is how people get opportunities for mobility. You can't tell people, or you shouldn't tell people, to stay home if they're not going to vote for you. You aren't the Messiah. I mean, you're asking for a job just like everybody else. And so people, whether people are going to vote for you or not, you should really encourage people to participate. You put your plans and your policies out there. Put whatever you want to put out there and let people decide at the end of the day where they're going to go, as they did in the August 5th election. It is unfortunate that has become his MO, because even after that, we understand that, he would have taken a few individuals to task, simply because he assumed, I don't know how he know, that they didn't vote for him. I mean, that is not what service should be about. And I really want us to stay away from that. Listen, I may not agree with you, Steve, on everything or anything, but I will defend your right any day of the week to have that position, because that is what democracy calls for. Once you're not going to take our position to make another person feel less than, fine. And so it was disheartening to hear that a sitting member of government would really have that charge against democracy. Really have that charge against democracy. And I'm hoping that, those kind of statements are away from him now, and that we can have civil discourse on the issues that are affecting the people of Gingerland, because at the end of the day, that is what our mission should be. Really, our mission should be looking to elevate the constituents, looking to make their lives better, ensuring that they can live comfortable and that they can, as you would say, work and play in a place that they love. Not to tell people that they shouldn't go to vote. I mean, it's almost as if you're trying to control their actions, their thought processes, and really that shouldn't be. And it took a lot to really comprehend what is it that is really going on here. All of this in the name of politics. You're really going to,
when you don't have a message, that's what happens. Well, hope springs eternal. We wait with not so bated breath for his next political blunder. But let's peel the onion a little bit. Why do you think, you've been out there, that Nevisians are not turning out to vote? The last two elections, definitely below 50%.
Well, I think if I can go to Nevis 10, I believe people, for most people, it doesn't make sense. The results are going to be the same. I'm not going to bother to go and waste time and vote. And some people, it's almost, you have gotten to the point now where the reality is that the split of vote atmosphere that has been created, that seems to be the order of the day. And for a lot of people, especially young people, if you're not greasing the palm, as they call it, or if you're not providing bread, as some would say, they're not going to vote. And that bore reality in the August 5th elections, where people, we got endless messages about people wanting XYZ, and if they didn't get it, they wouldn't go to vote. That too added to the fact that I think we would have seen over the years there is a higher turnout at the local level. I don't know why divisions really have little or no interest in the federal elections, even except the diehards who are going to go out and vote for their party anyway. And I think especially JD and I spent quite a bit of time encouraging people to vote, understanding that to vote is to influence and to impact the direction you want your country or your island to go. It is at the local level or the federal level. And for some reason, people just aren't interested in the federal level. A lot of people say there's nothing to gain from it. And Steve, I think we go back to the fact that I don't think many of us understand the federal structure and understand how federal governance works and how federal governments work. I think a lot of us have, misconstrued ideas of what should really happen. Of course, in our CCM ran an emotional campaign on the fair share, and so for a lot of people, money, when you talk money, you get people's attention. And so that may be very well be the case that, one people may not be interested in the federal election, not understanding how the federal government works. We tried to share that information with them, that they would understand that the best bet for Nevis to get what is rightfully theirs was to make a valiant effort at constitutional reform, at a legislative agenda, to ensure that certain things were there, written in black and white, and so that divisions could not be denied certain things. And then, of course, as I said, this political climate in which we operate now, when we talk about pay for vote, is a real thing. Back in the day, you heard about it, 1-2 people getting a small thing, but now this is brazen as daylight. I mean, people stake out voting booths and areas, and do their bits to influence the vote. One of the things that NRP took heart from is that even in that particular climate, when you look at how we performed on the ground, we continue to say there is that silver lining that we performed creditably, and we are hopeful, and we believe very strongly that there's going to be an even higher turnout in the local elections. We expect more people would go to the polls. I mean, this election, the issues are directly impacting them now, and so we continue to push our message, but for some reason people just don't take to the federal elections.
Well, I think that the events as they have unfolded in 2022 will add fuel to the fire, basically. Whether we want to agree or not, I've said several times on this program that 2022 is a lost year for Nevis. The start of the year, the CCM looked and saw an organized NRP and didn't quite know how to face the new team. And so they came up with this concoction to blame everything on the federal government, call for fair share. And as Peter Wickham said on the night of election, and I've said several times, they basically handed back in the government. These guys handed in a government like how people hand in used cars. And then, within weeks, we're going to face another election because the plan is clear.
Yes.
They're heading to New York this weekend, they say, to congratulate Nevisions because they hadn't been there for a long while. But we know why they're going to New York. They're organizing for the next elections. Then on National Heroes Day, I know you've seen the flyers, they're bringing in big bands. That's for Nevisions to forget their worries and dance. And then we go to an election in October. And so there's no development that's going to take place in Nevis until all of this is settled. But yet, we had people motorcading around the island and telling people to celebrate. And I've been asking the question, it begs the question, how do you celebrate when you've moved from the corridors of Parliament, where you had the best position in the history of Nevis, with 4 seats in the local government, 3 at the federal level? You gave them away. You're in no position to impact change or development on Nevis. It's not happening from the NIA. And how are you going to convince people that we're better off? So there's a process of attrition. That will be the 13th election for Nevision since the year 2000.
Oh boy.
It gets to you, and you ask yourself why you're getting involved in this process. All of this thanks to the shenanigans of the Concerned Citizens Movement. We're not in a great place.
No, as you said, that was one of the things that came up, election fatigue, voter fatigue in terms of the elections, and to say 13 elections in 22 years. I mean, wow, we have had a lot of elections, and it really, tires on weighs on the human mind and the human body in terms of participating. But we as you rightfully said, we recognize what is happening. We would have seen the flyer of their visit to New York to say thanks, as they said.
I thought they did at Caribbean Cove.
Yeah, and of course we recognize right away what that was and what the plans are, and so we are ready. We've been ready, and I think we have demonstrated that, and so nothing on the surprise in India except now I see a flyer, a poster, whatever it is, that says the Nevis Island Administration.
Well, I remember in 2019 when the NIA brought Third World and I think Steel Pulse. The poster then said it was funded by the bank up in your village, up in Barnesgut. I think they were new on the scene and they were pumping money into things and so on. I looked at the flyer before I came here. This is the NIA.
Yes.
This is the NIA pumping, I would say, an estimated $200,000. I heard a promoter from St. Kitts talking about Tropics on another radio station about a week ago. These things are high costing.
Yeah.
And we might be pumping upwards of $200,000 for a feel-good concert at the Malcolm Gishard Park, while we have just come out of a week where, Rohan, I've never heard so many cries about hiking electricity bills.
Yeah.
It's reaching a crescendo now.
Yeah, it is, and it's coming from every possible corner you can think of. I mean, whether it's support system or NRP, or you're just, a regular division who is really feeling the squeeze on the charge that has been placed on division consumers. It is astounding to see.
Hold it, Rohan. I think we've got a first caller for the evening. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Your Voice with the NRP.
Yes, good night. I'm just informing you, Serena's won the match 6-3, 6-3.
Beautiful. Thank you. My heart is full. 6-3, 6-3.
6-3, 6-3.
Thank you so much. My heart is full.
Nice.
Well, and that's very good news.
One down.
I could see her nerves when she came out tonight in that glittering outfit. The pressure was on her. I mean, she's going to be 41 years of age in another 3.5 weeks. But being a Libran like me, Librans never die.
All Librans here. I mean, you see it. As the cries of the people. I mean, as I was saying, it's really incredible to see your usage as $110, $115, and then the surcharge doubles. And we have seen in some cases where it more than doubles what you use, and it's really, really, really tough. And I've seen, where people, share different views on people's cries and people's difficulty with the electricity bill, and I said to myself, you look at who is crying out. These are middle income earners, and if middle income earners are having a difficult time with the electricity bills, what of those below? What of the single parent who? And we have said this time and time again, and people probably feel that we're saying it because we can talk, but what of the single parent home that has to manage now and has to decide on which utility must be sacrificed? And I've seen and I've heard people say, well, if this is going to continue, then just take it and we'll find a way to survive without it. I mean, that shouldn't be the case. I mean, hold it
for a while, Rohan. We've got another caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Your Voice with the NRP.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Manos and the other guy here.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. And you?
We're very well.
You all sound like you fit like a fiddle. You seem like you all want to go back, go play sports, man.
We're two sports people here.
Yeah, I am one too. Yeah. Now, I'm going to say two things. You know the reason why Nelson Mandela was thrown into prison? Because he was educating the greater population of South Africa about their rights and what they need to do with their rights. Their rights was they should be able to exercise their rights to vote.
Mm-hmm.
And so the minor population, they never want the greater population to be educated about that. So they lock up the teacher that they could keep the greater population in stupidity and dumb-belated situation, if I should use those words.
We understand.
But because they know once the greater population, which was the black people, they know their rights, then they would have trouble on their hand. Because they would not have sit down. Because the black people would have realized that, hey, we are more than you. And why you want to dominate and be ruler over us and tell us we can't vote? So they throw the teacher into prison, which was Nelson Mandela. But the black people still learn.
Mm-hmm.
And they struggle for it because they know it is their right. Now that is one. And the other thing again, some years ago, I was told that an elephant in Uganda was crossing a street. And when you reach in the middle of the street, you stand up there, you would not move. Car blow horn, people go and tell it move and that kind of thing, and he would move. And before he moved, he lay down in the road. And they tried to bang it to get it go, and he wouldn't go. And the little boy went there, and he hoisted up the elephant tail, and he put $1 under the tail. And the elephant gets up and he run over the street, went. So saying that to say this, money make the mayor go. Who got the most money? Get the longest dance in the party. That's a parable.
Thank you.
So anyway, I want to congratulate the Miss Williams on the tennis.
Oh yes, Serena.
Yes, man. Yes. She and her sister have paved the way for other black people to get interested in tennis.
Yes.
And also, I always said this for many years. I think Nevis should have a little stadium to suit the Grove Park.
Exactly. Well, it's now the E.T. Willett Park. And
Yeah.
caller, would you believe, next year on the 9th of March, makes 50 years since Willett made the West Indies side, the first Leeward Islander.
Look.
We've had 7 others, a total of 7. It is shocking, the state of the E.T. Willett Park. We haven't had a first-class game there since 2010, 12 years.
What is this? You listen here. That is advantageous to Nevis people because anywhere you go and you meet, you come up with a Nevision. He talking cricket, you know.
Exactly.
That is how Nevis people love the cricket. And look, I admire you all for that.
Yes.
Even if you're going to play a cricket game with coconut bat, you all take your cricket very, very serious.
It's been our sport.
Yeah, and Grove Park should not have been in that condition.
Yeah.
Willett is the man who opened up the gate for the Leeward Islands.
Yes, yes.
Because you know what, the Leeward Island been suffering from what you call a SID. Small island. I mean SIS. Small island syndrome. And we got to thank God for people like El Comido, Willett, that they want to know where this little small left-hander could bowl like that.
Yes.
And
yes.
Brother, he deserves the best.
Yeah, and we're hoping for that next year in March. Matter of fact, in Black History Month, we're hoping to put on an exhibition of Nevis cricket.
Lovely.
And we will be highlighting the achievements of Willett and all those who have followed in his footsteps.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Well, thank you so much for calling.
Yes, okay.
And
anytime, man. Bless up.
Thank you. And of course, the caller was referring to the Rivona trial of 1963, after which Nelson Mandela was thrown in jail for 27 years, emerging on May 11th, 1990. Of course, you were talking about the high electricity bills. Tomorrow, we know, as usual, the Premier comes for his press conference, and we know there will be questions. And he will tell you that in St. Kitts it's subsidized by the SIDF, But he's been there for 7 years.
7 years.
Never heard that he sought subsidy for Nevision people, but the cries are loud and getting louder.
Yeah, and as you said, they're getting louder every day. You add a voice here and a voice there. I mean, it's for me, it's really choose my words here. We are going to have a freedom concert free of cost to Nevisions being paid for by the NIA, and yet this very same NIA refuses to provide relief to the people of Nevis and the electricity bills. I'm just trying to balance
to make it make
what
sense.
is important. What is important here? I think we all understand what one is or what one is happening for, but to completely neglect and reject the notion of removing the surcharge for a period of time while you at least try to do something. But I don't think many people have confidence that this government is going to try anything that is going to be sustainable and long term in terms of helping our divisions survive the cost of utilities. I mean, we have heard long about geothermal. We heard that, you know, one individual said they would turn on the switch.
December 2017.
Yep. I think we have seen the pulling of the plug by them on that issue. We would have seen no real progress in any other alternative source of renewable energy. Dr. Bartlett would have spoken at length about solar panels, and of course the Power Your Home initiative, where new homes being built would have solar panels on them, and you know, get a reduction in cost, and you can even make some money because the excess can be sold back to. We have continually provided real workable solutions to the challenges divisions face time and time again, and so we're just hoping that, you know, divisions having to deal with the high fuel surcharge and really high fuel surcharge. And I think a lot of people are trying to understand why it is the way it is. At some point in time, I think we saw an attempt to explain how it is. That didn't work. I think ultimately we were told to practice energy saving measures, and you talk to people and people will tell you, listen, I haven't increased my usage. If you look at my usage is normally around this, it is still around that, but the fuel surcharge continues to increase. And so, you know, it's difficult for a lot of people. As I said before, we are willing, and our leader said clearly, day one, she'll exercise her right as the premier and remove the surcharge for 6 months.
In the first instance.
In the first instance. And during that 6 months, as I am confident and comfortable with our approach, that we will aggressively pursue long-term remedies to this situation. Of course, we are not denying that the world climate has impacted what is happening now, and what we are saying is, let us get outside of that realm where that kind of impact in the future may be felt, and let us use the resources that we have been blessed with. I mean, we sell them for tourism, sun, sea, and sand, and so why not use them, wind and solar, and develop those, and so our people can have an ease in terms of what they are paying in terms of utility, and it goes beyond that, because once you have clean, cheap electricity, and investors are going to come, because that is one of the high ends of the overhead cost. And if investors are coming, it means that job opportunities are being made available, and the more job opportunities you have, you know, you can increase the standard of living, and when you increase the standard of living, then you have high expectations of certain things, and you know, we are able then to continually provide education for our people in different spheres and in different areas, and so we begin to compete a lot more in the regional and international market. This NRP sees beyond the now. While we seek to solve the problems that our people are facing on a day-to-day, we are still with an eye to the future, and how can we prepare our people to handle any future issues that may come. I mean, the pandemic of 20 2020 has taught us a lot, and it is important for us to learn the lessons that have been shared. And so, even as we spoke about education, we must not go back to the same approach to education. There is a hybrid system that we must adopt and make sure that we're in the best position possible to ensure that our students are getting the best there is to get in terms of education. So, there's quite a bit of that we have shared. We're going to continue to share, Mr. Manners, because as I said, we believe that we have the right setup, we have the right team, a mix of youth and experience. Of course, it's foreign to just me, but I'm comfortable in that space as well, knowing very well the capabilities of my colleagues. And so, I set on the visions. I guess all we can say is hold on. Change is on its way, and then you are part of that change. And to get the relief you desire, the NRP is ready on day one, as would have shared by the party's leader. Some people are asking, well, who is going to pay to keep Nevis running if we are going to take off the fuel charge, or who's paying for the concert at the Malcolm Richard Farm?
It's a matter of priorities.
Exactly.
It has been a difficult period for Nevis, first 2 years of the pandemic. And I never in my wildest dream thought we would have such an irresponsible government to topple a federal government and remove yourself from the corridors of power to be on opposition benches. But we're into a period where, as I said, we are going to lose 2022 because people are not concerned about governance. People are concerned about winning election after election. And that's a problem we have. Tomorrow, the Premier will come to tell us for the umpteenth time that work at the Alexandra Hospital is moving apace. Well, we might be wise enough not to use the word apace, because that is rather cliche. But he said last week that, thank God, it has some paint on the outside and the windows are in. But this is a project which has been going on for 5 years. It is scandalous. And I would suggest to the Premier, instead of coming tomorrow and using the same cliched words that you've used for 2 years, have a media tour. When last have you seen the cameras of Nevis television go up to the Alexandra Hospital? Invite Teske Newsline. Invite One Radio. Let them take their cameras, their tape recorders, bring with you the Minister of Communication, and let's get inside the belly of Alexandra Hospital. He said it's 2.5 times the existing facility, but my golly, it's been 5 years. Let the media go there on Thursday morning. I'm setting the dates for you, rather than coming with the same old tomorrow. And let the media be the eyes and the ears for the people. How does that sound, Rohan?
You're asking a lot. And I think we both know that is not going to happen, because pictures will tell the
real story
we are very familiar with. It is really ridiculous. It is really embarrassing. It is downright irresponsible at this point in time that we have a hospital, and he can call it what he wants, a new wing, an extension, be it what it is, that 5 years on, now going on $20 million, and that is all we have, just a shell. I mean, where else in the world these kind of things are going to happen? And I'll tell you, probably nowhere else, because when you talk about a healthcare facility, these are serious facilities, because you're talking about the provision of services that go to the heart of the health of a people. And we are constantly saying the health of a nation is the wealth of a nation. And what we are seeing now is really the case, because that can't finish, and so the people of Nevis are poor for it. And for me, I keep saying it is not just the physical structure, but what it represents. The level of services that we should have been, being able to enjoy and experience at the Alexandra Hospital. We can't, because the facility is not finished.
And won't be finished for a long time.
And we keep on hearing substantial completion by year end.
He should give an end date. He should give an end date tomorrow. Substantial improvement is the same as saying nothing.
Nothing. And we should not go further. There's a container in front of the radiology department. And you know, if he exceeds, maybe you could get a picture to see if that the CT scan is present there. That should not have to be the case. That facility should have been finished, and that machine should have been able to go where it is supposed to go in its rightful place. And that is not happening. And the visions must hold this government to account for what we are seeing at the Alexandria Hospital. It is not a case where they can say, oh, we didn't know, because a lot of things were shared. The public shared information, the experts shared information. And none of that was taken into consideration until they got to the point where they recognized, oh boy, we can't go any further than here. So we paid to build it, we paid to take down the inside, and we're going to pay again to rebuild the inside. And why? Because we did a lot of things for expediency's sake, and we did a lot of things for political mileage, because what has happened and what is clear with this government is that anything that plays to the human emotion, that makes people feel good in the moment, that is what they are going to do. And there is nothing sustainable that comes after it. Because you start wrong, you got it wrong. And there's so many examples of that happening by this administration. A lot of it. You go to only, we are told what, $5-6 million, and we're told that there was going to be a waiting or reception area 2022. Where we continue to advance ourselves as a top destination, and so our visitors come, and it is like the days of pitching Mary. You pitch on your tide, so you sit down under the tree, and if the rain begin to fall, you shift yourself to the other side just so you don't go. That is what is happening there. That is what is happening there. How do you say $6 million pier facility, and you spend $6 million and there is no facility? And then I see some trying to explain away and talk about the money facility, and we can go back and see where monies were allocated for the facility. And we talk a lot about regional and international events. And we how? And I understand, people always say it's expensive, but the visions have always done things well. And we expect that if government is going to use our resources, that they are going to use our resources responsibly. And at the end of the day, we can say, boy, yes, that $10 million is well spent. As Nevisians, we can boast about this. And we can celebrate these kinds of achievements. But that doesn't happen. And then we come and we speak well, and we use a lot of nice words and a lot of flourish, and we say a lot of nothing. But because we are able to play on the human emotion of things, we get away with certain things. And that is why the NRP is keeping them honest this time around.
Now let's go up to our parish, Gingerland, and down to Indian Castle once again. Of course, the parliamentary representative, his father, gave his life to Indian Castle, worked there for most of his life. A gentleman came to the studios here called Simon Love, who basically said he had approached the Nevis Islander government, he had been in contact, he had written to the Premier. That must be 4 months ago. Premier has not responded publicly. The gentleman said that he has the certificate of title for Indian Castle, which he got in 2021. The history will show that Indian Castle was acquired in 1957, 396 acres from an Antiguan doctor, last name Lake, acquired by Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw. We've heard about One and Only. We didn't hear about that campaign. During the campaign, CCM tried to ride a one-track pony back to Bastille, all about fair share. Shouldn't the Premier be coming to us to tell us what's the state of that project? The gentleman said that if December comes and there's nothing looking up, he's throwing his hand in the air. Nevis is crying out for development. Shouldn't the Premier come to us after 4 months to tell us about the state of affairs at Indian Castle and the status of the One and Only development?
I don't think this system-led administration has any interest in the development of Nevis Street, Gingerland. I've said that from the beginning. I really don't. You can look across the island and see development at whatever level you want to measure it, and you can see Gingerland is nowhere in the picture. Should he come? Clearly, yes. Because when you said he had the title, I wrote down, how did he get the title? That's title to how many acres you said?
Well, I don't know if it's the full estate, but I know when it was purchased, according to the historical records, 396 acres purchased by Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw on behalf of the people of Nevis in 1957. Are we going to be losing Indian Castle, one of our most prized estate? I think in the name of accountability, the Premier must come and tell us what is happening at Indian Castle.
It seems to be heading to another newfound situation here. I mean, you're right, he should, and Gingerlanders ought to demand that he come forthwith to explain what the situation is. I think the last time the gentleman was here, he said that the Premier expressed that he had no confidence, he and his cabinet had no confidence in the developer to execute. What else then?
Well, we heard that from Mr. Simon Lau,
right,
who we didn't vote for.
Exactly.
So we need to hear from all leaders.
Right. So if he can come and share that, why hasn't the Premier or the representative come forward now and say, listen, we no longer have any confidence in that which we boasted and touted as the next best thing for Nevis.
Hold it there, we've got a caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Your Voice with the NRP.
Yeah, I am back with NRP.
Yeah.
You don't mash up good for worse. You mash up good for better. And if anybody mash up good for worse, they have the brains of a crab. A crab do not have a head. Crab has a back where all the food goes. When you see a crab, what do you think is guiding the crab? Those two eyes stick up in the air, you see something and it follow them. When you can mash up good, you're supposed to mash it up for better and best, not worse. And anybody mash up good for worse, they had no vision but selfishness. That's all I got to say for that.
Well, they've said that for a long time. I cannot countenance for the life of me how you've come to us for 7 years and say we are in the best position that we've ever been in. We've gotten more, and you destroy that. You build on it. And so now we're worse off than we were before.
And the thing about it, the good thing about it is not, those comments are not only written, but they've been said.
Yeah.
And so that voice could go all the way down to maybe 300 years from now.
It's on the record.
That's right.
Yeah.
But who that talking? You pen or you black lid? That's you.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no question our leadership has let us down, and let us down badly.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely fool the people them.
Yep.
Fool them and then keep basing on one thing, trying to spread an umbrella over the whole of the country, and fooling them about fair share. Fair share, and you come and say this is the best. I mean, that's what I say: good, better, and best. Some a little more, and the most. Fooling people with that.
Yep.
Well, what you doing with what you get?
Well, we're gonna see. We're in a difficult place, and certainly the country's motto was not at work during the last 7-8 months of 2022. Country above self.
That's right.
It was not at work.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, talk.
Yeah, go ahead.
Listen, in the Bible, the good Lord hate a lying tongue, Oh, that day for sure he hate that, and many more he hated. But that lying tongue, he gonna come back on you. The wrong you do, come back and haunt you. And the good you do, come back to bless you. I'll continue to listen, gentlemen.
Yes, thank you, caller. Thank you, caller.
Yeah, I mean, the caller is right. As you said, 7 years, and we touted the relationship as the best, and many people during that period of time could have seen where the statement had its merits. The relationship really put certain things on the table for Nevis. We saw increase in certain things in representation, and we gave credit for those things. And our concern really began when we understood the volume of financial assistance that was being given to Nevis, and the fact that we were not seeing anything to reflect the numbers that were. And what I've concluded, Manners, is that we could not have really seen any completed development, and regular people couldn't have felt the tangible benefits of it, because for years, I think was probably just 1 year out of the 5 years, we operated on a deficit budget. We were spending more than we were collecting, and so whatever we were getting in terms of...
I think we've got another caller, Rohan. Good evening, welcome to Your Voice with the NRP. Hi, good evening, caller.
Hi, good night.
Yes, could you raise your voice, please?
Yeah, good night.
Good night.
I would like to say congratulations to the mighty Nevis cricketer.
Yeah.
Will it?
Yeah, raise your voice, please. Raise your voice.
Happy handling this?
Yeah, you're good now. Go ahead.
Yeah. Man, Will it? You know who this is, Will it? Congratulations to you. You know this. I'm going to call me wait. You know who this is?
Yep. So you want to congratulate Willett and the other divisions who have done so well?
Yeah. I don't want to see you up to all reality.
Yeah, he was a good cricketer as well.
If you believe it or not.
Yes, very outstanding opening batsman.
But that's happening because you don't cut in here.
Discrimination because of Rasta. Thank you, caller. Nice to hear from you. Yes. So caller there congratulating Willett even 50 years after.
50 years after. I think he's deserving of every congratulations that he gets, and we really haven't lived up to the kind of honor we should have really bestowed and community. Look at others, other pioneers in different sports around the region, and you see how they would have been celebrated, and the accolades that have been bestowed, and that too should have been in any respect given to El Camino Village, and hopefully he can get his flowers while he's with us. And so as I was saying, we can go back and the point of how we were managing our economy, and where if our economy was being managed properly and our resources were being used wisely, and we were seeing growth in terms of our economic development, you can go back and you look at projections of economic growth for the region, and you see how other islands and countries grew. St. Kitts and Nevis grew, but when you look at the individual merit for growth, we weren't doing near what other countries and islands were doing. And so if you're not making the money to sustain your responsibilities, because you have the responsibility for the Nevis Island Assembly, the Nevis Island administration, and so whatever was coming over, and he admitted it, he said a lot of what came over he used in certain regards, and you go back and you think, but why? Isn't that our responsibility? Isn't that your responsibility as a leader? Shouldn't you have had a buoyant economy or stable enough that you can do all of these things, and the money then that you would have been getting, as we consistently said, be gravy in terms of your development? And because that wasn't the case, all of that was being used to pick up the shortfall of a failing or a slow economy. I've said before, when it's 2020, it took the wearing of masks to unveil the real struggles that divisions were faced with. And you said it, good at winning election, hard at governance. And we really, governance is what is important, and that is the message we continue to send. Our team at NRP, we have that experience, we have that governance structure, we understand the importance of grassroots participation in policy and programs, and we really want our people to retake the power that is theirs. The gentleman spoke about what Nelson Mandela was trying to do, and that was empower the people in South Africa. And we want our people to retake that power, to understand that the direction of an island is in your hand. You have the power to determine where you want it to go, and you have the power. You're the ones who hire and fire. We are your servants. We have come, yes, to ask you for the opportunity to lead and to serve. But if you find that you are not benefiting and you don't see anything for your children in the future, it's time to change course. And now is the time to change course. You have got to change. We cannot. See, if we cannot, we should not enter 2023 under this present leadership.
Yeah, well, the way I see the next 4 months of 2021, and you could tell me if your viewpoint differs. We're going to an election in October. The government on Nevis cannot afford to put it off. Based on what I've seen of the federal government so far, Dr. Joe is hastening slowly. He's being very methodical about his leadership. The government here under Premier Mark Brantley would be hoping to hustle some things out of him to begin to show something ahead of the next local election. But you're no longer in the parliament, and as I said, he's hastening slowly. I don't see any significant move being made until the budget at the end of the year. But then the Nevis Island administration will need monies. I hear the Premier saying all the time it's only a 1-seat majority, but he never told you that there will be a dysfunctional opposition. I see 2/3 of it functioning and 1/3 maybe going away very soon. So it's going to be a sticky period, but the Premier cannot allow things to unravel if he allows it to go down to December. So he's going to go very quickly to convince people that you notice he hasn't said too much about his meeting with the Prime Minister. He said it was cordial, but the press release we saw said that we're going to do things according to a legislative framework. It's a different kind of language.
Yes.
But the language the Premier needs is to be quick, to have a quick fix, to get some things going, because still nothing a kip.
Yeah,
There's nothing kipping in Nevis, and you have nothing really to report to the electorate. And so what we're going to have is another emotional discussion. Think it's not giving us our fair share, and that will end up with a call for secession. I don't know how you see it.
That's an interesting conclusion. Didn't see it going there. You know, you're right. It's going to be an emotional discussion again. You know, he said send him back to Basti. He wanted to do a number of things, and I think in our penultimate rally, I called on the Divisions not to vote for CCM because all indications show or was leading to the fact that PAM would not feature in the elections. And if PAM was their ally, their partner, and the indicators are that they would not feature as the results did demonstrate, then what would be the purpose? Because they're not featuring, you can't get into government with 3 seats.
I for one could not figure how you could back a horse like that.
And then he made statements, they made some very bold statements about removing governments from power when they don't treat Nevis well, and I think from that they should remove themselves. They haven't treated divisions well, and so maybe they should remove themselves as well. But I mean, I don't know what he's banking on. This Labour government, from all indications, is nowhere near the one that he was able to infiltrate and get the motion of no confidence. Again, as you said, the Prime Minister now is as they say, taking his time to finance Billy, is doing things according to his own pace and so on. And as you rightfully said, and I think that is what we saw early on when we heard the supporters and the party talking about working with, and yeah, we have figured and we have seen, and I think a lot of us know what that really meant. We needed to get a quick exchange of certain things so that we can put certain things out there and say that this is happening and that is happening and so on. And as you thinking about it now, that conversation about secession may very well be the next ploy, and that is a different conversation to have altogether. I don't see it being successful, not as the kind of position we are in now, and so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But listen, I am hoping, and we're going to continue to encourage Nevisians at home to go to the polls and vote, and to vote for change, and to vote for opportunities, and to vote for better today, vote for better tomorrow, vote for opportunities for your children and your grandchildren. And this is what the NRP has consistently offered in our history. Our history proves that we have provided in those regards. I said this before, after the disaster of 1970, Christina, and in 1970, Simeon Daniel rose to the occasion and brought Nevis to a place that we now accredit him as the father of modern day Nevis. In 2008, when we battled not just the financial crisis but the impact of Hurricane Oman 4 seasons, and Joseph Parry rose to the occasion and held the fort and kept Nevis afloat. Even before the legendary Barack Obama spoke of stimulus packages, Joseph Parry was on that particular train. We have gone through a very difficult 2 years under this present leadership, and I think our difficulties can go back to 2017 if you really take a close look at the challenges we face. I think the only time there is when 4 seasons reopened and there was a little boom and buoyancy. After that, nothing was there. Janice Daniel Hodge, I am confident, will rise to the occasion and will put Nevis back on that path to prosperity, and back on that path where Nevisians can once again feel that sense of pride and that sense of ownership and that sense of, listen, we can do anything and we can accomplish anything, and we don't have to wait or make noise or have to quarrel and think it's not gear sex. I believe that the working relationship and the partnership that the NRP, led by Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, and Labour led by Terence Drew, is going to bode well for Nevisians and Kittians, and that is what we're looking forward to. And so NRP has always been the party to restore the people's progress, and so that is what we are looking forward to. I am confident that, granted that opportunity, like our father Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, will lead Nevis into prosperous times.
Somebody wrote on Facebook today, the CCM is no longer the party of Van Sangui. It is no longer the party of Malcolm Gishard. It is a party of Mark Brantley. Somebody said to me today, 15 years he's been on the mark, but he can't even get out of the starting blocks. The person said to me, he false started again in 2022. We're in a bad way. But very soon Nevisians will have a chance to go to the polls again, by my bet, in October, in a matter of weeks. Your final words, Rowan Arrows. We've got 30 seconds.
Well, again, it's good to be on your voice. It's good to share my views and opinions on what is happening currently. I want to say again thanks to the people of Gingerland. I look forward to meeting you again, and I know you have expectations, and I am hoping that I can meet those expectations. I believe, as I said before, that the next round of prosperity for the island of Nevis must come through Gingerland. The developmental agenda that we have for Gingerland is going to set Gingerland on a new path, an upward trajectory, where its people can work and play and enjoy comfortable standards of living. And so, as we continue to hope, we continue to ask you for your vote. We continue to ask you to join our campaign if you're so willing to, and to help us. You and I, together, we can build again, and to build again for prosperity, number 3.
Next Monday, the CCM will be on the Parkway in New York City. But we'll be at home on Your Voice with the NRP, looking after the people's business. Good night.
Your voice, your voice, your voice with the NRP. This and every Monday, 8:30 to 10 p.m. Join host Stephen Semanas and the NRP candidates as they amplify your voice.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company.